Council, June the 22nd, 2023. Meeting is now called to order. We have roll call, please.
Screen blank. Screen blank.
You give a verbal.
Okay, just do a verbal right now.
President of Congress. Here. I don't want to start doing that.
Let the record reflect that 8 council members are present. Dr. Gouy is absent. We'll move to item 2, please.
2, executive session. Executive session pursuant to LRS 4217A2 for the purpose of receiving attorney-client privileged information regarding prospective litigation from a formal written demand by Lucon Incorporated resulting from the Main Street Drainage Project. Attorney Jacques Tozet, Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Machines are open.
Have to give a verbal yes. Verbal yes.
And the measure passes 8-0. We'll go to executive session at 5:14. We'll return from executive session at 5:30 p.m. No final or bonding decision was made in executive session. We'll move to the next item, please.
3, proclamations. There are none. 4, status report by the parish president.
The parish president couldn't be here today. Obviously, everybody knows about the saltwater intrusion issue. He wanted me to comment on that briefly. The parish president on Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. issued a state of emergency based on the saltwater intrusion, which is what we did last year for the same event. That's necessary in order to get assistance from GOSEP and kind of have GOSEP perk up and perhaps help us out with this. Also, the Army Corps of Engineers. And so we have a phone conference. Several things have been done. We've been putting pallets, 19 pallets of water daily at the Boothville Venice and the Beerus Firehouse, also ice daily. We're currently looking at reverse osmosis machines. This is what we did on the last go around, and I think once those machines were hooked up, the water quality in Boothville was better than it was in Belchase. So we've learned a lot from those reverse osmosis machines. That's the last time we did that. Last year was the first time we did that, sorry. And so we're working with Infomark, Kyle and Associates, who is our engineer, who's been working on the water expansion to determine which machines are viable, not viable. We're looking obviously at Port Sulphur because of issues of capacity, but we're also looking at Boothville as well. Obviously, at Boothville, we would have to do some extra emergency repairs, electrical work. We've sought out some bids for that. We've received some bids. I don't want to publicly comment on that, but we've gotten the ball rolling on a few things. Our conference call is tomorrow with the Army Corps of Engineers and GOSEP, and so to the extent we're going to be asking GOSEP to perhaps contribute to this and the Army Corps of Engineers, obviously we need their input before we pull any big triggers or make any major decisions. So that's the purpose of the meeting tomorrow, and I believe the parish president's been in contact with you all frequently on this issue. Anything else we need to comment on? If you have any other comments, we'll try to answer them, and that's where we are on that.
Mr. Konovich?
Yes, on that meeting tomorrow, you need to get CPRA in there to call. Tell them if they're not gonna fix the brakes from Mardi Gras Pass down, we just wasting money. Because if we get Port Sulphur back up and running, Mardi Gras Pass, and then their new diversion coming, or have more salt water coming in. Because I could take them in the river right now and show them the clear water coming into the river above Beerus.
Obviously, you're making a great point, Mr. Kognovich, and obviously I think the president's going to do anything and all things we can do to address the issues. I know Mr. Jurisic had brought some figures to me earlier about the issues those diversions and all are having on the ability of fresh water to get down. So yes, that is certainly on the president's mind and will be something we address moving forward.
Ms. McCarty?
I'd like to support with what Mr. Kognovich just mentioned. That was my concern. We already know from Mardi Gras Pass that the salinity is coming up. When we start diverting maybe 50% of the water from going down to the mouth of the river, then we're going to have less pressure going down. That means the salt water conceivably, you're going to have to ask a scientist, but conceivably could come up even higher, maybe into Belchase. So we should start looking for a pump that would a desalinity type system like they use in other countries that don't have fresh water, so that we can take the salt out of the water instead of just having freshwater pumps sending water down.
So that's what the freshwater, that's what the reverse osmosis machines are, and that's
Okay.
what we had done. So that is
I
the
see.
desalination process. The question is Boothville or Port Sulphur both have some different issues we have to address and look at. But yes, that is what we are doing. We're desalinating the water.
Okay.
Obviously, when Belchase reaches capacity, 9 million and then hopefully someday 12 million, the silt will never, well, I'm going to say never, but based where they put the sill,
Yeah.
presumably the salt water wouldn't creep up that far. But obviously, we continue to have ongoing issues with the diversions and stuff. But yes, we will be desalinating the water.
That's the two things we rented last year, but the problem with them, when you have too much silt in the water, it clogs up their filters and
Then that's what we learned. So that is one of the major problems we learned because we thought we just needed a reverse osmosis machine. When they came down and tested the turbidity of the river, it was too thick, and so they had to get a special micron filtration system. So that added another $300,000, and that was something we were caught in last year. What was supposed to end up being, I think, like $350,000 for 3 months turned into another $350,000 machine, and then all this extra stuff. Where Boothville alone was $1.2 million we spent last year for the I don't know how many months we had it, but hey, we were much happier with that than the $1 million a day to barge in water. So unfortunately, we're becoming experienced at this, and hopefully we'll have some long-term plans and strategies. Hopefully get the legislature to help us out with this, since we're really the only parish affected so much.
and with CPRA and the Corps not gonna put more on us, so they need to come up with the money to buy the machines.
Yeah, and GOSEP agreed. GOSEP did pay for everything last year, so I do want to thank well, we are in the process of submitting reimbursements for that, and so I think we should thank the governor for making those funds available for us. We ate up their entire emergency $1 million budget on that. The Army Corps of Engineers actually agreed to pay for one of the reverse osmosis machines last year. There was some back and forth negotiations on that, and unfortunately, we didn't end up needing the machine. So I don't know why the Corps would have a problem assisting us again this year. So, but obviously things change, and we're going to continue to make those pitches because it is expensive. It's not a cheap endeavor.
Mr. Jurtich?
Yes, as Mr. Bureau said, I gave him some figures a while ago. And, with just some percentages of the river with the outflow, what's going on, on the east bank of the river. The Bohemia spillway is taking approximately which is the Mardi Gras Pass, 3.5% of the river flow. Our Stricker Lock, the breach right below, is 2% of the river flow. Neptune Pass is 16% of the river flow. And Fort St. Philip is 13%, which that comes up to 34% of the flow of the river is exiting before it hits the jump basin, before it hits Baptiste Colette and the natural tributaries. And this is where I think it's very vital when we talk to the Corps, you make that point that if you don't close this is going to be an ongoing problem. We're only in June. We won't see a river till November, December, maybe at the earliest, unless we get a tropical system, which we don't want.
Because you don't only take
And I'm
the water.
talking. So, I'm happy to doing that.
Yep.
So what I really would like to see, President Hinckley did an excellent job on Fox 8 last night because he mentioned that. And I'm glad he mentioned it, and I told him, please mention that because that does have a big impact. Port Sulphur, let's say if it's 3 months before it's up and running, if you don't have a reverse osmosis in place there, you're already going to be pumping salt water. So, we definitely need to hold the Corps accountable. And I'm going to go one step further and say I would not allow them to breach the levee anywhere north of that until they take care of these problems we have further south, because we know what's coming up, up north of that area. And that's going to take a major portion of the flow. And we're not going to be able, I've drank salt water all my life. It's good for your system. It cleans you out. But for the most part, we'll be dealing with salt water, and it's a big burden on this parish. It's going to be a big cost to this parish to keep that up. And that's all I wanted to say, that, we really need to hold their feet to the fire on this one. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the president supports all of your comments, and we know it to be true because we used to have this issue once a decade, and here we are 2 years in a row, back to back, having it. So it's evident.
Like he said, it takes water out of the river going down, but once the river drops to where it is now, you got salt water coming in those breaks.
Mr. Champagne?
Mr. Burris, I know that, and this is obviously a pressing issue, but are there any efforts in place to try to acquire one of these osmosis machines on a permanent basis? Because we need to build resiliency in our system. I know we're talking about putting larger pipelines down, I know, but we could have some tropical event or some event which damages the pipeline, then we're stuck with water plants down there who have to operate on their own, but now there's a saltwater issue. We can't afford $1 million a day for shipping in water. So is that something that you may want to explore, to get one of these machines again to add resiliency to our system? Thank you. I yield.
Yeah, I think all options are on the table. If this is going to be a recurring problem, that's something that obviously we would like to have on site and deal with. I know those machines are extremely expensive. How expensive, I don't know. But if we're going to be renting one every year for several months, then obviously it would be worth our while to buy it. So yes, we are looking at all options. All options are on the table. And so that's my response.
Mr. Evans?
I'm sorry the parish president here, but I have Mr. Battle and several contractors came to me, African American, trying to talk about the parish. Do we have a minority set aside program? How can they be involved in the contract? What I was going to suggest to him today is that we have a meeting. I want to be able to sit in, and I think I talked to Mr. France, but just to have a meeting and talk about what that process look like and what it entail. And then, being involved with legal, I hope you can help facilitate, take that meeting where we all can sit down and look at what
Yeah, I'm sure.
in that process.
Yeah, I'm sure the president will be fine with having a meeting to discuss those issues.
Thank you.
I just want to thank the administration, parish president, for getting ahead of this and not procrastinating. I think last year we had to deal with this in October, and now we're dealing with it, 4 months ahead of time?
It came up quick. I mean,
Yeah.
it came up real quick. It was doubling in a matter of a day or two. So,
And again, we're going to be dealing with this every year because of high sea rise, Any comments from the audience?
I thought we were gonna come first, the audience first, but the council came. But they answered most of the question. Why don't we buy one reverse osmosis machine? It works.
I asked that last year, and one of the issue was the cost.
All right.
I asked, could we place one in Boothville? Because we're going to be dealing with this several, more often than previously. And one of the things was the cost.
And the second part is that Mr. District 8 Councilman said that he's been drinking that salt water. I don't recommend you drink that salt water because high blood pressure. It'll kill you.
Well, the salt water is not as salty as the salty oysters that he eat.
We need
I-
to start bottling that water and send it to them spas that women go to for salt baths.
All right.
Mr. Jurtich?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that we did talk, early in the week about purchasing the machines. I mentioned that with President Hinckley sitting in on the meeting. And one of the biggest things, when you buy one and you own it, now you gotta maintain it, you gotta have someone to change filters. So it's almost cheaper, probably by the time you do the figures, it'll probably be cheaper just to have one rented and let the companies maintain them, change those filters, do everything.
yeah, renting made sense last year because we only had this once every 10 years. So
Right.
obviously it's more cost effective. Plus, you have to have expertise. These machines are finicky, they're complicated, and so, ultimately you'd have to find an operator. And as Mr. Jurisic said, you would have to do maintenance on this year round.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes, I talked to the president yesterday about this, but since we're doing a mid-year budget hearing on the port, we're going to do one on the council side also. And I think, talked to Ms. Morrell, parish president, I think we're going to aim for August 3rd So if that works, if not, send me an email tomorrow, and we can talk. But August 3rd, tentatively, mid-year budget hearing for the council.
Okay, we move to the next item, please.
4A, update by charter directors.
You see, Mr. Jeff's not here today, but I'll take care of some of the operations side of things. Just a couple of things new. The Edna LaFrance property up in District 1, that fire department provided the funds to put that fence across the north side of that. That's gonna stop all the public and outsiders from coming in and dumping trash all over that property. We did place that roll-off container for trash over in front of the water plant side where it's an open driveway to go in. Now there's no open areas to get to that property. We're gonna start clearing that property. That's gonna be a win for that whole area, that, you know, the fire department's gonna benefit from that little site too. Tidewater Road, we knocked out, finally kept an A-boom mower running long enough to do it. Looks great, no issues down there. As far as that, went all the way down Tidewater Road, both sides, up Venice Marina Road, same way. A huge ditch in Mr. Jurisic district was overgrown with 8-inch trees, long overdue. Resident struggled with it for years. He's almost on the verge of being happy with it now, but it was a huge project to get that knocked out. And then our next one up is a promise to Councilman LaFrance that we're gonna get that grader down to you and get Diamond Road knocked out pretty quick too. So that's pretty much on the operations side, unless you have any questions.
Any comments from the audience? From the table, Mr. Konovich?
Ditches, I've been trying for 4 years.
Yeah.
The one by PHI. And from what I was told, when they agreed to let PHI extend their property and build the fence, they were supposed to cut the ditch, because there's no way to get the tractor in there.
I'll get with you on an exact location.
Thank you.
Ms. McCarty?
I had a problem ditch, the last council meeting we had, and I was wondering for the residents over there on the west side of X Street, could you talk about the situation where it stands right now? Are we getting a pump from Barrier to replace the tractor pump that hasn't worked for several years?
Talking about West X?
Yes.
Yeah, so that ditch was cut, cleaned out. A pump is in place at the end of that ditch. Barrier, I believe from the discussions the other day, we had one more week, and they say they'll be done and finished. And once they open their project up, that eliminates all of that need for pumps anyway.
Okay.
That's where we're with that.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to the next item, please.
5, bids and advertisements. There are none. 6, beer and liquor licenses.
Please key in if you have any. Clear. No one have any? Move to the next item, please.
7, building permits. 7A, construction permits. 7A1, Texas Petroleum Investment Co., application number 2023-377, application date 5/31/23.
Please take 1, 2, and 3 in Globo, please.
Proposed well location for drilling and producing the GTA-2 et al. U-27 Southwest Pass Field. Councilmember Kotnovich. Texas Petroleum Investment Co., application number 2023-378, application date 6/1/23, proposed well location shell pad, structures and flow lines for the SL 1998 5800 Horse Prospect, Brenton Sound, Block 21. Councilmember Edwards. 3, Texas Petroleum Investment Co., application number 2023-374, application date 6/1/23, proposed well location, shell pad, structures and flow lines for the SL 2000, number 70 Offset Prospect, Brenton Sound, Block 29. Councilmember Edwards.
Mr. Hufford, you so offered? We have a motion by Mr. Everett, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? Oh, I'm sorry.
Nice try.
Yeah. Seconded by Mr. Jurtich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines is open. And the measure passes 7-4, 1 abstention. We withdraw item B. Can you move to item C, please?
C, Cruisers RV Park Rodney Height, conditional approval for 5 additional spaces in a recreational vehicle park, Logan Lane, Belchase. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Conovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration, machines open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. We move to the next item, please.
8, introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
The following introductions are for Councilmember LaFrance. An ordinance to approve the amended rule number 9, hours of work, leaves of absence, and absence without leaves, section 7, holidays of the Plaquemines Parish Civil Service Commission rules, adopted by ordinance number 96-133, amended by ordinance number 97-47, and amended by ordinance number 99-35, and amended by ordinance 04-2, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the parish president to enter into a legal services agreement with Barron and Bud, P.C., and Costage, Sumich, Parasola, and Taylor, LLC, to pursue legal claims and causes of action against the manufacturers and suppliers of the firefighting foam products, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to levy millages on the 2023 tax roll on all property subject to taxation by the Plaquemines Parish government, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2023 general fund operating expenditure budget, information technology department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the parish president to accept the donation of a generator and air conditioner unit to the Plaquemines Parish government for public use and benefit, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance authorizing the parish president to enter into and execute a contract with lobbyist Mercury Public Affairs to represent Plaquemines Parish government in any upcoming sessions of the federal government or any other meetings and events deemed necessary to protect its interest in all matters for the remainder of the fiscal year, with an option to renew for the following fiscal year, provided funds are available in the 2024 adopted budget, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance declaring the enumerated adjudicated properties as surplus and not needed for public use, and authorizing the parish president to do all things necessary to sell said properties in conformity with ordinance number 23-64, the Plaquemines Parish Adjudicated Property Program, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. This ordinance is for Councilmember McCarty. An ordinance authorizing the rescission of a portion of drainage servitude initially created in favor of USA, now in the name of Belchase Drainage District, located in Square N of the Hodge Hunt Hero Subdivision, Belchase, Louisiana, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The following two are for Councilmember Newsom. An ordinance to amend the 2023 manpower structure and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt section 17.5-2 of chapter 17.5, article 1, Parks, Recreation, and Parish Facilities of the Code of Ordinances, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next is for Councilmember Jurasich, an ordinance to amend the 2023 general fund operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And the next two are for Councilmember Konovich, an ordinance declaring certain property belonging to Plaquemines Parish as surplus property and no longer needed for public purposes and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2023 Public Health Fund operating expenditure budget, ambulances, general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That's it.
Thank you. I'll move to the approval of the agenda. We're going to withdraw item 9A2, 9A3, 9D, and 9K will be deferred. 9K is deferred. The rest of them is withdrawn.
Defer.
Deferred, K is deferred. Again, we go to 9A2 withdrawn, 9A3 withdrawn,
Defer it.
93 is deferred, or?
9A, 9A1 is deferred also.
We re-advertise that, so as soon as those deadlines are done, we should be able to adopt something, provided somebody bids.
Okay. 9A1 is deferred, 9A2 is withdrawn, 9A3 is withdrawn, 9D is withdrawn, and 9K is deferred. We all good? Okay, we'll move to the next item, please.
9, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 9B, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan repairs Diamond Park project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I'd just like to get with the parish president and Mr. Billy, and so we could come up with a solution to this. So I'll defer this item also.
C, an ordinance to amend and as amended to readopt the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Section 217, Rules for Transaction of Business before the Council, Rule 11, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Jurasich.
So offered.
We have a motion by Mr. Jurich. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. What y'all kissy now?
You got it right.
Any comments from the audience? From the table? Mr. Schultz?
Mitch, are we going to remove the part about one item per meeting, or what? I know we talked about it after the last meeting. So,
If it's the wish of the council.
yeah, I think 10 minutes is just overall. You got 10
Oh,
minutes?
you
Yeah.
can cover as many items within that 10 minutes.
So,
We have to make changes.
yeah, we'll have to make changes. Make an amendment. Hold on, I'm trying to find it, actually.
Is it really in here that it says that?
It was last week, or last meeting.
I didn't change anything.
In other words, when we're giving district updates, and, we have.
Oh, okay, yeah.
giving district updates, you have a 10-minute time frame instead of, if you have 3 items and then you try to knock them out.
Yes, the last sentence, Kim. So I like to make an amendment, remove the last sentence.
Of what?
Line 31 through 33. Other than that, everything else is fine, 10 minutes for everything.
Okay, you're gonna have to reoffer and resecond with changes.
Mr. Conover take his second away. Mr. George will take his motion away, and he's going to offer it with changes. So I have a motion by Mr. George with changes. I'll second it by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Reverend Edwards.
Yeah, I think the last time this brought up, I'm totally against it, and I understand we got the rule, but I think the message that we're sending about this time-sensitive thing, it's getting to be why we elected it, we can't have the time. And I just think it's sending a terrible, terrible message to people that we on time. I think one of the things, we spend so much time in the executive session, that's what take up a lot of time. So anyway, I'm gonna vote against it because, we got the rules is there. So why are we putting so much emphasis on this gonna make the meeting move much faster and for us? I just think it's sending a bad message to the public about we don't have the tolerance to be here, and we should be here. We should be here. So anyway, I'm gonna vote against it, but I just want to put that on the record.
Mr. Jurich.
Yes, I think, one of the things I'll try to stress to all of our constituents is we do have open door policies, and we can talk about these items long before this meeting. That's what we're there for, not just to come to the meeting and hear yourself speak. I'm all about taking care of a situation before it even hits here. I like to come here with everyone in agreement. I don't mind listening to the audience, But when we doing district updates, that's up to us to be efficient on our district updates, just giving an overall view and getting a quick answer on a couple of items. I don't think we need to elaborate. In fact, I'm gonna move down the line to put district updates right under the charter directors and the, that way we can get that out the way sooner. That way, if there's anyone in the audience waiting on district updates, they can, and they got other places to be, they don't have to wait till the end. So it's not an effort to streamline, it's an effort to me to make our constituents call on us. We have assistance, our doors are open, we take our calls. You have something, let's talk about it then. You got an issue with it, bring it here, and we can discuss it briefly, but I just don't see the point for going on and on and on when we all gonna vote yes anyway. And that's the part that I get. Maybe every now and then there's a no vote, but I've sat here time and time again and we're 25, 30 minutes on the issue and we all vote unanimous. And it's just something we need to take care of amongst ourselves and amongst our constituents. I yield.
Mr. Konovich.
Well, if it's a district update, we'll never have to vote on it. But if I got 3 people that can't come want to give a presentation, we limited them to 5 minutes. So now I'm over my time limit by 5 minutes. So one of them can't speak. Well, we're adding extra time voting on it. But I'm good.
Reverend Edwards.
Yeah, and Mr. remind me of something. I've seen since I've been sitting on this council, sometimes discussion take place and somebody say, isn't that what we agree upon? I mean, I believe that some people in the position to meet and discuss stuff, so they don't have to discuss it because decision already been made where the vote gonna go at. But a person like myself, who's not a part of meeting, then this is the only opportunity I got to speak because I'm not in the meeting before the meeting and behind the door meeting. So it's obvious meeting take place and people in agreement with what they're going to do. And it's saying that you can do that so the public will have a right to come in and speak. We should be able to hear what people say. I think there's assumption on the part that's saying that everybody want to come to our office. They shouldn't have to come to us. This is a democratic process. This is the place where they should become and speak their mind that we shouldn't talk about forcing people to come to us. That's not what it's designed for. So, again, I'm going to leave it alone.
Mr. Schultz.
I was just going to say, this is only applying to district updates, so there's no vote. So that was going, but Mr. Kogovich already hit on that. So, but also, this just gets everything else in line with what we already have in place elsewhere throughout the agenda. 10 minutes is the norm, for ordinances and resolutions. But again, this doesn't have a vote to it, so that's basically what I was responding to.
Any comment from the administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes 5 for, 3 against. We'll move to the next item, please.
E, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Article 1, Section 22, relative to smoking, eating, and drinking in the council chambers, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I would like to offer with changes on line 23, add in council when it says with the exception of the council and its staff.
That can just be a typo.
Okay, yeah. And I so offer. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Reverend Edwards?
I just think if we asking the audience to do it, we should do it too. I just think that's sending a bad message that we can sit up here and eat, but they can't. What kind of messages are we sending to people? I'm just trying to figure out where we coming with all this stuff at.
Yeah.
Can I give a little background?
You may.
I just found this when I was changing another rule, and we already eat and drink, so I changed it that way. The audience has always been prohibited, just to let you know.
Any more comments from the table? Administration? Machines open. And the measure passes 7-4, 1 against. We'll move to the next item, please.
F, a resolution declaring Monday, July 3rd, 2023, a legal holiday and a day of public rest in the parish of Plaquemines and for Plaquemines Parish government, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Mr. Konovich.
President's office is good with this?
This is only for this year, right?
Yes. Because it before the July fall on Tuesday. Any comment from the audience? I'm sorry, from administration. Machine is open. And the measure passes unanimously 8-0. Next item, please.
G, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Article 2, Chapter 3, Members of Plaquemines Parish Council, Conduct of Business, Section 219-1B, pertaining to deadlines and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. We have a seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration?
Yeah, I just provided some comments on this by email. I did get a response from Councilmember Champagne. Sometimes I may not know I need an executive session until the following week. And I guess my issue is, I'm dealing with judges, I'm dealing with opposing counsel, I'm dealing with a lot of these dates and times are out of my control and not within my control. And if it's detrimental to the parish, for us not to have, in other words, if I think we really need something on a Thursday and it happens to be the Tuesday before the council meeting, I don't want to foreclose the idea or the opportunity to at least convince you all that it's absolutely necessary. So if we have this language "shall" in here, it almost forecloses our ability to do that the following week, even though it may be detrimental to the parish's best interest. So, you might want to put a caveat in there, or if y'all want to leave it as is, that's fine. But that was my only concern. What's that?
Want to put may instead of shall?
Yeah, or put unless, you could do that, and then or after that sentence, put a comma and say unless the council determines it would be detrimental to the parish's interest.
I'll offer it with the changes.
I'm not understanding the changes.
So the changes is just basically allowing for an exception in case of an emergency. So if I have to come, and if I get word of something on a Monday or Tuesday before the council meeting, and we need to address it, it's important, it's an emergency, I'm dealing with a federal judge, who knows? I want to have the ability to do that. And if the language just says shall, then without an exception, then it kind of forecloses that opportunity. And I don't want some opposing counsel to say, oh, well, you shouldn't have even heard that because you didn't get it to the council secretary before, and I don't want it to foreclose any decisions we may make at a later date simply because we didn't have an out for ourselves on B1.
Well, I'll offer it with changes. We have seconded by Mr. Konovich. Okay, Reverend Evans.
I was just wondering, to me, it seemed like he's saying, except president, administration, because for the same reason you're saying, I think the language should say that. So that way, there's no question if something come up, but being executive, it need to take place.
Well, then I would support that unless the parish president determines it would be detrimental to the parish's best interest.
See, I love that better.
Okay.
So remove council and put president?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And that goes on behind B1?
Right.
So, Reverend Evans, you offering to amend it?
Yes.
We have it amended by Reverend Evans, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines open. On the amendment. And the measure passes 8-0.
As amended.
Now we come back and move on. As amended. We have a motion by Aso Offer, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience, from the table, administration? Machines open. And the measure passes 8-0. We'll move to the next item, please.
H, a resolution authorizing and directing the parish president to contact the Louisiana State Legislature to officially rename Avenue G in Belle Chase, Louisiana to Croatian Way and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Champagne.
We have a motion by Mr. Champagne, seconded by, we're doing unanimous second? Any comment from the audience? From the table? Mr. Champagne.
So on this, the Croatian American Society has requested to change the street name from Avenue G to Croatian Way in conjunction with the opening of their cultural center. The Croatian culture has been instrumental in the success of Plaquemines Parish, and it is appropriate to recognize their contributions to our great parish by renaming the street in their honor. I so offer.
We had a motion, we had a unanimous second. Yeah, any comment from the audience? From the table? Administration, machines open?
Councilmember Edwards.
Reverend Edwards? And the measure passes 8-0. Next item, please.
I, an ordinance to amend the 2023 manpower structure and operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
We have a motion by Mr. Schultz, seconded by Ms. McCarty. Mr. Schultz?
So yes, this is a pay raise for the fire department. Some of the background on this is they're under a different civil service than the rest of the parish, so they were not included in the Archer study. Myself and Ms. Morrell and the superintendent worked for a while trying to come up with a number that everybody was comfortable with. Another reason why is that they're having difficulty attracting and maintaining personnel due to neighboring parishes' pay rates. So this is agreed upon by myself and finance department, and parish president, I'm assuming, is aware of everything. We've been talking off and on. I know he's not here, but about this.
Any comments from the audience? From the table? I just want to state that I spoke to the parish president, and he is working, and the administration is working on giving our employees a raise. They are waiting until we do the rollover from the year 2022. Okay? Any comments from the administration? Mr. Newsom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to congratulate on the firemen on their dress whites there. You look very nice. Thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Machines are open? Oh, I'm sorry. Reverend Everett was in the queue.
Yeah, I was just wondering, Jonathan, we were gonna vote for you to bring extra manpower. You had this wrapped up, but you didn't bring extra manpower, and you got shows up here too.
Machines are open? Mr. Champagne? And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. Oh, skinny, wait up, I got white shirt. Wait up, man. Next item, please.
J, an ordinance to amend the 2023 manpower structure and operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Newsom.
And we have changes.
Go ahead.
Sure. On line 28, they're adding, they're funding one full-time position in addition to unfunding 2 vacant positions in flood control. They added a fund position number of 770-1141-03, foreman at an annual salary of $41,230 plus benefits. On line 31, they're going to unfund position number 770-1545-01 supervisor. On line 32, their unfunding position number 770-2314-11, heavy equipment operator. On line 3, they are now creating and funding 2 full-time positions in the road maintenance prom department. On line 36 and 37, they are creating and funding 6 full-time positions in the recreation facilities and services department. On line 43, they are adding a position number 640-1141-01, foreman at an annual salary of $41,120 in benefits, plus benefits. On line 47, they're changing the $82,330 originally being appropriated to $110,100 being appropriated. The first chart on the second page, they are increasing the following amounts: $61,750 for salary and wages, $890 for parochial payroll taxes, FICA taxes, retirement, $7,110, and group insurance, $40,350. Then on the final chart on page 2, right above section 4, they are decreasing $59,545 for salary and wages, $865 for taxes and FICA, $6,845 for retirement, and $30,850 for group health insurance. And that's all the changes.
And with those changes, I so
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Newsom, seconded by Mr. Schultz. Any comments from the audience? From the table?
Yeah.
Reverend Edwards?
Billy, this is you, right? Yes. Does this involve the grass cutting crew?
Yes, it adds to them.
Huh?
It adds to them.
Okay, that was my concern, only concern. Thank you so much.
Mr. Schultz?
Yeah, so Mr. Newsom and I looked this over, and that's the changes that's going on. We got with Billy to make sure we're still overall saving the parish money with the defunding of the other positions. So it's still overall saving the parish money, but it's setting up these departments, flood control and recreation, where we can move forward and make the changes that are necessary for these departments to improve. So the foremans in both recreation and flood control, we talked to Billy, and he said he really needs that. And so I just wanted to make clear that we're still overall saving money. I want to say overall around $300,000 we're still saving, Billy. Does that sound right? Yeah. So I just want to go over why the changes are there.
Is there any more comments from the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. We'll move to the next item, please.
K is deferred. 10, approval of the minutes from the June 8th, 2023 regular meeting.
I so offered. Second. Seconded by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Table, administration, machines open. And the measure passes 8-0. Next item, please.
11, new business. 11A, introduction of resolutions where suspension is being sought. There are none. B, District 1 update, Councilmember Edwards, discussion about the process for contracts.
Yeah, I was going to
Oh.
say that, but because y'all haven't-
Key in, please.
because you haven't heard from the public, and my brother been here for a long time, you really want to come up and just, Tabata, you come up, because he been here before the Pope meeting, and so I just want to give him a chance to talk about why he was here, and it goes back into what I was talking to you about earlier, Rini.
Good evening, Harold Fedderson, 180 Williams Lane, Pearl Hatch, Louisiana. So my question was about contractors. I'm a construction contractor. I've been in construction since I was born. It started with my grandfather. I've been trying to get work in Plaquemines Parish. Can't seem to find out how to get on a contractors list. Can't seem to really be able to maneuver with anybody in the parish. I'm on the East Bank, so it's just us over here on the West Bank. Tried to deal with a few people, didn't happen. Went to your mitigation department to find out about this contractor list I heard about. They pick a outsourced company to pick contractors at the beginning of the year, and that's the contractors that's on the list for the whole year, and they'll get another outsourced company to pick the next year, and they pick some new ones. So for the whole year, I don't get to work because you have your contractors picked. I don't know if that's the truth. That's what I heard. It come from your mitigation department. So I've basically been in business for 9 months and out of business now because I couldn't pay for my insurance. They have campers. I don't know why they have camper trailers going on your West Bank side. People wanted to hire me, but none of the plumbers really got back with me. Couldn't really find out how to find out what's going on because everybody tells me, go talk to this one, go talk to that one, go talk to that one. The little place in Bell Chase over here, I've been in every building in there and still don't know really nothing. Give me blank answers or nothing.
And what is your skill?
I'm a general contractor,
A general contractor.
construction contractor. Been doing this since a kid, so to ask me what I do it all. It's like asking a mechanic, can you fix the alternator and can you fix my water pump? It's crazy. Foundation to the top, I do it, so I don't know.
And, okay, you finished, Reverend Everett?
I'm good.
Mr. Newsom?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, can we, Randy, is there any possibility, direction we can help this young gentleman out? Looks like,
Yeah, I can give him the information. I can give him the information. I mean, obviously, public bid law is brought into the equation. Most, if not all, of our contracts are actually advertised and bid in the Gazette. I don't know if you read the Gazette. That's the official journal of the Plaquemines Parish government. And so, any projects that are beyond a certain threshold, certainly 250 for public bid law. I do think we also advertise contracts above 30,000, I believe, as well. We're required by law to get 3 bids. And so anything less than 30, don't quote me on the exact number. We can get quotes. We can call around and get 3 quotes. So the engineering department primarily handles all of that. So, and our purchasing department. So we can call the purchase. If you give me your information, I'll have the purchasing department reach out to you, tell you what our thresholds are, and then also have the engineering department let you know at what levels we advertise in the Gazette. And then obviously they can take your name down, and should your firm or company or is in line with stuff we do or we need, we can certainly get quotes from you, and you're certainly by law required or allowed to submit any bids, et cetera. You do have to be licensed, you do have to be bonded, you do have to, so as long as you meet all those minimum requirements, there's nothing prohibiting you from bidding on a project, just like anyone else.
Engineering department is where?
Engineering department is on the government complex. It's by the ball fields, where the ball fields were built. It's
right before.
it's on the other side of the road from there.
Yeah, to help it, just get with Mr. Burris, and, we just need a young gentleman from the East Bank, and we need to do whatever we can do as a government body to help some folks out wherever we need.
Yeah, most of our stuff is
That's
done by bid or quotes. And
Yeah, so just, get with Mr. Burris maybe after the meeting, and he'll get you information, and believe me, he's helpful, very, very helpful, so.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Jurich?
Yes, you're just looking for work in the parish, or you just looking for work in general?
Parish, general? I mean, I'd rather work where I'm from. I'd rather work where
Right,
I'm
well,
at.
no, what I'm saying is, the permit office does have a list of plumbers, electricians, stuff like that, because when
Yes.
people go to the permit office, sometimes they look for a list they ask who we can, and we hand that list out.
Yeah, I acquired that. I
And,
acquired that.
and if you wanted to get on that list as well as a general contractor, just in case somebody, because in the Port Sulphur office, I get people all the time coming looking for someone who can help them rebuild this, rebuild that. And, the thing about it, they got electrician, plumber, and I don't think there's no contractor on there.
Right,
So it
they
may
don't
be-
give out the
it may be-
electrician's information, and they gave me the plumber's information, and there was no list for the contract.
But they could add that to that list if you were interested in, getting on that list as well, just to pick up, odds and ends jobs, just to get you through some of the tough times while you,
Understand what you're saying, but I'm not a certified plumber.
no, I'm just saying, no, you're a general contractor.
Right, so what I'm
You
explaining to
do-
you, I went there, I asked them for this. They gave me the plumbers, they said the electricians were not available, and there was not a contractors list. I hear what you're saying, I know what you're
No,
saying.
no, I was saying if
but
you
I
wanted
went
to
the-
get on that,
On that?
Make one.
make
Oh,
one.
make one, okay,
one,
okay,
yeah, make
okay.
one,
I
make
thought you
a
were talking about
position.
get on the list.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry,
no,
I'm
make,
sorry.
make one, or make,
Uh-huh.
get them to add that position to that list.
Okay,
That way, if somebody's coming to look for a general contractor, they'll hand them
Yeah.
that list with your number and they'll reach
Okay.
out to you. Because
Okay.
people look for that all the time. People with RV parks, people doing things, they come
Okay.
in and find somebody to do the work. So
can I ask why you can't get the list of the electricians?
we can get the list of the electric.
Okay, I'm just asking because I went to the office, I went to the building, that's what I was told. This is what I was told. Same thing with the engineering department. Went to the engineering department, they told me they were the ones that
They have a
outsource and
list,
pick
they
the
have a
people.
list of, there's probably 4 or 5 electricians on that list. There's
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 plumbers. And there's also, I forgot what the other one was, but it's a, huh? Yeah, ACP.
AC.
Yeah, there's
Air
about,
conditioning,
and they got about 3 or 4 names on each one of that. And all you would
Okay.
have to do is add general contractor or whatever it is, you specialize in to
Yes,
that.
sir.
When you contact the purchasing office, they'll assign you a vendor number, and then you'll have a vendor number. And then, should the engineering department or whoever decides you're qualified and whatever, or if it's a bid thing and you got the lowest bid and, you would get the job, you would have a vendor number and you would be a contractor for the parish. But in terms of major construction, 250,000 and above, 30,000 and above, we do sealed bids. All of that is done by sealed bid. So you would have to submit a bid and be the lowest bidder, and certainly you're able to do that just like everyone else. But I would encourage you to read the Gazette and look on the website, because that's where all of our stuff is advertised, and that's where it's required to be advertised by law.
Okay.
Reverend Edwards? I'm sorry I queued you out.
I was gonna tell Mitch, he said he went there to put his name on the list, and there was no such list as a contract.
Right, that's what I'm trying to explain
No.
to him. They say in the engineering department. I walked in there myself.
Yeah, this is the
They told me
permit
that
off.
they picked these contractors at the beginning of the year. After that, it's sealed for the rest of
Yeah,
the
that,
year.
The permit office, yes, he had went to
Permit
the
office
permit
does
office.
that or engineering?
yeah, that's not true. I mean,
No, that's not
No,
true.
that was the engineering office.
No,
No,
this
we
is
went
the-
to permit. I know the
This is
permit
the
office.
permit office, right.
Talking about
professional
mitigation engineering department, all the way in the back.
Okay.
went there, I talked to a
but what-
lady.
What I'm telling you is,
sir.
the general public comes in, a guy looking, he says, man, I need to get my home repaired or something like this, or and they look on the list, and there's no contractor, there's no
Right.
carpenter, there's no.
Right.
And the permit office will, if you want to get your name and number, that means you're working for individual people, not
Right.
exactly the parish.
Yes, sir.
But you could pick up odds and ends jobs, but I
Right.
think they can add you to that list. I got
Okay.
6 or 7 sheets, I keep them printed in my office, in District 8 office in Port Sulphur.
Okay.
And the permit office is right there, but I talk to him, I'll talk to Amitra about that and try to
Okay.
get it added on.
Okay.
Thank you, Mitch.
All right, we'll move to the next item. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
C, District 8 update. 1, discussion regarding complaints about dust on numerous items around residents' homes due to the levee work being done in Jesuit Bend, especially when there is a westerly breeze blowing.
Yes, this is a complaint I've been getting. This is a complaint I've been getting in, but I want to go ahead and defer it till the next meeting because the members couldn't, huh? Well, you can say something on it, okay, well, go ahead, let's discuss it, but I want to bring it back up, I want to hold it on there for the next meeting.
You ain't District 8. All right.
Through District 8. And that new cement, yes, I do. That new cement plant, when they come out, it's like a dust storm, and they not cleaning the road like Venture Global was with that scraping machine. And it sounds like you're rolling on a shell road when you pass.
Okay. I'll advise the parish president, we'll look into
Been
it.
at your meeting last night.
I wish he was so he could take some of them
Water
bullets.
lines. If that man wants a job digging water lines, I'll give him one tomorrow.
Ms. McCarty?
Mr. Jurisich, I have a mystery dust in District 5, And I'm hearing that some people in Joshua Bend have the same dust, but it usually occurs early in the morning, so I have a suspicion of what it is. I've talked to some competing companies, so I'm just gonna have EPA go out and take a look at it, and so I'll pass that information.
This is just from the levee work,
Okay.
is what this is from. A lot of it's from the levee work, and the levee not being watered properly. Mr. Helmers.
Oh, okay.
You know, I've been calling him almost daily, and Mr. Russell, and they've been working with Hard Rock to try to keep them. First time they went with empty water trucks to be eye candy, but they jumped on them ever since then, so.
We are addressing that issue. They are watering the levee. The good news is we're within 2 weeks of completion of that levee project. They'll be seeding and finishing up that for final inspection.
I hope they're not using potable water. Mr. Newsom.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off Mr. George. I received a phone call from the sheriff's department about that levee, about the Ali pump station. They're asking about if we could get Hard Rock to put some rocks over it or someone, due to the sheriff's department, I think in hurricanes, they launched their airboat back there. So if you could check on that, I don't.
The scope of work, well, whatever was there previously will be put back.
Okay,
That's-
thank you.
That's what we got. Thank you.
Is there any more? Well, okay, item D we discussed already? Okay, motion to adjourn by Mr. Konovich, seconded by Mr. Jurich. Machines are open?
Approve the minute?
Hold on. Yeah, I did the minutes. I approved the minutes. Yeah. Machines are open? And the measure passes unanimously 8-0. We have adjournment of the council meeting at 6:31 PM.